But I mean,
Maybe Vishnu has a link with the calendar. I'm not sure because this is something
Okay.
we've added recently.
Yeah, we just started this. This is the first instance on the Zoom, and I had shared the invite on the OpenEBS Slack channel as well, Dennis. Uh, and it's also present on the GitHub OpenEBS. So, will that
I
be
see.
good enough for
Perfect.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So this is the first instance on Zoom, and we are kind of limited by the time for the free version. So we have like around 40 minutes, and out of which I think we have already engulfed around 7 minutes. So we have like around 33 minutes to go with. Um, I think one of the agenda items is just to talk about the previous roadmap and the releases, and post that we could have the floor open for any questions and answers. Anyone else has anything to discuss?
Well, yeah. I mean, I joined to discuss the pull request, but maybe I have one or two more bytes I can share maybe in the end of the meeting.
Sure, sure, Dennis. Yeah, I think that was also like one of the reasons why we wanted your presence on this meeting as well. So yeah, we could start with the roadmap and the releases. So I think after the restructuring that happened recently for the as a part of OpenEBS 4.0, uh, we have also updated our roadmap, and I think many of us are already aware that we had to do some kind of reorg of the OpenEBS engines and all. So we had to archive some of the older engines like CStore, Jiva, device local PV and all. And finally, we are left with Mayastore as the replicated engine today, and Hostpath, CFS local PV, LVM local PV, and raw file local PV for the as the local PV options. And accordingly, we have also made modifications to the roadmap. So I could quickly go through the roadmap and just talk about some of the significant features. Let me share my screen. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, is the GitHub screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this page is still work in progress. In fact, we also have agreed that we'll be migrating this roadmap into a GitHub project, maybe something like a Scrum board or a Kanban board, which will have like a better representation. And we will also, I mean, anyone who looks at it, right, they will get an exact picture of what is kind of work in progress and when to expect what. So, but at a very high level, right, this roadmap uh, that you see on the screen is currently a mixture of both uh, replicated as well as local PVs. So since most of the local PV engines are uh, kind of in a stable state at the moment, so the feature work or the work on the local PVs is slightly lesser as compared to what we are doing on our replicated PV Maya store. So um, mainly for the local PV engines, currently what we have is let me just mm, run through those. Yeah, so mainly for the local PV in the immediate future, we are trying to harden the quality metrics of these engines. So what we saw was there were like a lot of tests which were obsolete, and we didn't have enough end-to-end testing happening on the local PV engines, and also we didn't have enough developer automation tests, which are a part of the CI. So the first and foremost thing that we have taken up as a part of enhancing the quality of local PV engines is to add more CI tests, number one, and which will also include uh, basically testing local PV by using the OpenEBS umbrella Helm chart and not the operator YAMLs. So earlier, operator YAML was the mode in which we used to test local PV engines, but that's not the way how the storage is shipped to the user. So the user actually installs a umbrella Helm chart, and he can select or deselect the local PV engines. So it does make sense to uh, test the same way as the user is actually doing the installation. So this goes for both the CI tests as well as the end-to-end testing. So that's one of the major efforts that is currently work in progress, and we are hoping to kind of see this to a logical conclusion by this quarter or beginning of next quarter. So that's one of the plans at the moment. Uh, and then we have one more enhancement on top of local PV host path. So all this while host path has been typically one of the smallest or easiest modes of storage solutions. So we are also planning to add a replicated capability over the host path so that you can get more availability as well as more data redundancy there. And then similarly, on top of the ZFS local PVs and LVM local PVs, users are actually requesting for certain capabilities which the native ZFS and LVM stacks already offer today, but which we don't have as a part of our OpenEBS solutions. So those are some of the enhancements and features that are being worked upon with respect to local PV, LVM, and NCFS. And at the same time, raw file local PV is another very interesting project where storage is actually carved out of an extent based file from the local file system, and this also addresses some of the drawbacks and some of the cons of using the local PV host path. Like for example, you would be able to monitor the usage, the space usage, or you'll be able to restrict the space usage to within that extent file as well. In addition, we could also have stuff like snapshots and restores on top of the raw file local PV. At this moment, it is still an experimental project which is being worked in collaboration with one of our uh, repo maintainers. His name is Mehran. So we are kind of working with him to get these features on top of the raw file local PV. And now comes the replicated Maya store, where most of the features or work is happening. So mainly features like online pool resize, uh, encryption, RDMA capabilities, and all are the currently work in progress items. And just in the recent past, we were able to achieve some of the other features like multi-replica volume snapshots and clones, and also the volume resize as well. And post the work in progress features like disk pool resize, RDMA capabilities, um, and encryption, we will be starting the work on more pool enhancement features like how to have a disk pool spread across multiple devices or like more than one device, which is mainly like having some kind of RAID capabilities and all. I think mainly that's about it with respect to the roadmap at a high level. So by the next meeting that we should be having on the last Thursday of September, I think we will be in a position where we can convert this roadmap into a Kanban board, which will have like better visibility. Yeah, any questions on any of these items from this room here? And of course, Dennis, just to add to that, right? Your contributions related to ZNS will also kind of get into this roadmap.
Yeah, that's great. I saw that item on your list, and I already bookmarked that roadmap you're showing on the screen. Nice, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Any further questions, anyone?
Vishnu, this is Ed speaking. Maybe we should give the community an update on our progress into Sandbox, or we can address the archive Sandbox issue.
Sure, Ed. Would you like to take
And
that
I
up?
could, yeah, I can. I'll just give everyone an update.
Yeah.
So OpenEBS was admitted into Sandbox. Hi, I'm Ed Robinson. So I work for DataCore in the OpenEBS team, and my job is not for coding, although I could code, but it's mainly to help with some of the non-coding things. So OpenEBS was admitted into Sandbox, CNCF Sandbox, in 2019. As everyone on the call knows, there's kind of 4 stages, or actually 5 stages for projects. There's Sandbox, then you go into incubation and graduation. And the other 2 stages, one is not admitted, and then the second one is archived. So our project fell out of compliance with CNCF and got put into archive. And the compliance that we fell out of is that we had a bunch of legacy code, bunch of legacy engines that we just kept in the project and didn't keep maintaining. And then secondly, some of the governance, we weren't properly following the guidance for community involvement in the project and governance, community independent governance. So we're probably one of the cleanest projects now, because we made the decision to regroup and to reapply to Sandbox. And so we did some tough things inside the project. We archived about 2/3 of the old engines, or 2/3 of the engines, the old engines. And we did that in March. We also talked within ourselves and established a structure for independent governance inside the governance of the project. At the moment, most of the maintainers are still DataCore employees, but we're intending after Sandbox to actually widen that and make this a true community project. There was some question as well from members of CNCF about DataCore's commercial offering. So we've in the naming of that. So we've worked with Linux Foundation Brand Council and got clear guidance from them on what to do, and we're making sure that we're as clean as possible. So our intention is to make the project fully compliant with CNCF, and so we've reapplied to Sandbox and working with a bunch of the different groups across CNCF, and we're hoping that we'll have a decision from them before KubeCon, which is in November 13 or 15 or something this year. So that's really, really important. For DataCore, we doubled down and we've made sure that we're even more committed to the project. But moving forward, after assuming that we get revented into Sandbox, we are going to take steps to ensure the independence of the project, and if we can, and look for more community contributions and look for community-based maintainers too. So that's our intention from this. Are there any questions from people? Okay, so just jump in if you've got anything to say. So right now the project is in archive. It's applying to go into sandbox where it's not obviously our decision whether it gets into sandbox, but we believe that we've crossed the I's and dotted the T's to every extent. And the most important thing for people is, when they choose a storage product, does this have a future for me? Does it do what I want, and does it have a future? And Datacore is a fairly strong, very, very strong player within the storage industry, and we have really committed to ensuring that OpenEBS brings that enterprise grade data management, storage management to Kubernetes. So we're not running away from this. We're continuing. Okay, that's it from me. That's that update. One other thing I was going to add, part of the community, commitment to the community is starting to video these meetings that we're having now. They're really, you'll also find on our community repo in OpenEBS, which we added a few months ago. We minute all of the maintainers meetings that we have. We have weekly maintainers meetings, and we provide minutes in there, which are often a lot easier to watch, to read, to absorb than watching an hour-long video. So yeah, that's our other commitment to transparency that we've got in there as well. So hopefully that's interesting and useful for people, because it takes a lot of our time to do this. Okay, one other thing. Vishnu, is it okay if I talk about one other thing as well?
Sure, Ed.
Okay, so one thing that you'll see, it's mentioned on our Slack and also in the community discussions. We have a website called openebs.io, and on there's a section called commercial support, and there are 3 companies listed. Number 1 is my parent company, the company I work for, Datacore. And second and third, there's Cloud Sky and CodeWave. Now we really want that page to be up to date, so that for people tinkering with Kubernetes and tinkering and just playing and doing dev work with OpenEBS on Kubernetes, they probably don't want commercial support, and that's totally fine. We have a Slack channel, a free Slack channel for people to get answers from the community. But we also know that there are enterprises using OpenEBS on Kubernetes in production, and for them, they have to have a 24/7 SLA in place. So we want to make sure that the companies listed there, not just my parent company, Datacore, but my employer, Datacore, but that every company listed there actually does offer those services. So I've got a discussion in the community just saying, look, I've reached out to some of the companies on that list, and I haven't got replies from them. So I think that's not a good indicator for customers, for users, for potential prospects using that as well. So so we will be scrubbing that list and ensuring that the people listed on that commercial support section actually do offer commercial support for OpenEBS. Now, I really want to extend to the community that if there is anybody else who'd like to get listed on there, if you've got a service that is outside of OpenEBS, and maybe it's not commercial, maybe it's just some services or extra things that you do, we would love to list you on there and promote from the traffic that comes to OpenEBS, promote that to you. And just as an indicator, we have more than 25,000 installations a month. So there's quite a few people who come to that site who are installing installing the software. 25,000 new people each month. So there's definitely there's foot traffic there. So we'd love to be able to extend that commercial support beyond just Datacore. Okay. Vishnu and everyone, I'll be quiet now because otherwise I'll just talk forever.
We always love to hear you, Ed. So thanks for that. Yeah, and I think really good updates on the sandbox efforts as well as the transparency topics there. So I think we are done with the agenda that we had on mind today. So we could open the floor for any discussions that we would like to have. Since Dennis has joined here, I believe he has a thing or two to say about the PR that he has raised for the ZNS support. Maybe we'll just start with that.
Sure, of course. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Vishnu. Yeah, I guess from my point of view, the most important question I have pending on my pull request is about the metadata section in the beginning of that pool. So let me just look at the pull request and the comment. I just had it open.
That's the 5 meg or whatever it is partition at the beginning of the Nexus.
Yes,
Or the beginning of the children. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So what?
Yeah. So
what is that partition being used?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go there, Dennis, if you don't mind, we just had a few questions because the way we were discussing it this morning
Yes.
is that potentially we might not even need it. So and this might be our misunderstanding, but so the way things are at the moment, you would create a Nexus, but you wouldn't use a replica from our pool, but rather the entire device becomes a Nexus child for ZNS.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That was the first stage of enabling ZNS.
That's because you can't create a blob store on zone device, right? Blob store.
So the logical volume store is actually what is creating some metadata structures that are updated in place, which is not supported by zone storage media. So one would have to fix either the partitioning of logical volumes within Maya store, or like avoid those in place update on the metadata structure within SBDK. So there is definitely work to do if that the first stage is getting put in. This is just like the bare essentials. This is not really something that would work if you have a ZNS SSD and like deploy that patch. This is like the very first step.
But there is another consideration regarding adding ZNS support to the Nexus BDF. Is that Nexus is designed to do synchronous replication, which is each write IO is replicated to all the Nexus child replicas. So that's the initial goal of Nexus design.
Right.
And
so, yeah, go ahead.
If we can't support this kind of application for zone devices, then there is no reason to add that to Nexus. My understanding is that, let me put it a bit differently. So Nexus, when write IO comes, it does the same write IO for each of the replicas, right?
Yeah.
Now, if one of the write IOs fails, if the device is failing one of the replica devices, we remove that device from IO path and we retry the write IO for again, we submit write IOs again to each child replica. And we are doing that in a loop until all child IOs succeed, or if we have no more replicas left, in the case of our device fail. But if we do it the same way for zone devices, every time we submit a write IO to a zone device, the write pointer advances on that zone.
Right. Yeah.
So we can't resubmit write IO in the case of some other replica layout.
Yeah. So Dimitri, you're mentioning exactly the two limitations that were put into this pull request. This well, let me back up one more step again. So this initial draft for supporting ZNS was formed, and I also stumbled upon those 2 points that you just mentioned while getting that ZNS support into Firestore. And I decided to leave those 2 issues out for now because this would have blown up that whole pull request. But I agree, those are points that need to be addressed in order to be a functional feature of Firestore. So as you correctly...
Sorry, yeah. Please continue. Please go on.
So as you correctly said, the replication issue needs to be addressed. And there is a fundamental, I wouldn't say issue, but challenge to solve. If you have a replicated nexus with 2 zone block devices and you're just allowed to write sequentially, you have to solve the issue. Okay, how am I solving that challenge if I'm getting an error back from one of the devices and I have to retry, but my write pointers are out of sync? So you need to have some kind of metadata accounting in the background that tries to solve these issues, or even like does some kind of garbage collection and relocates data onto another zone and then does that replication again. So it's definitely something that has to be solved before this can be called a functional feature. But there is also the other solution that my colleague Andrew worked on with the C-cell stuff. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with C-cell, which is in SBDK, and that would like solve the whole issues that we just discussed, because it exposes those ZNS devices as a regular block device through a buffer device. So that's something we can discuss, right? We can drop my pull requests, which like enables native ZNS support inside of Firestore, and rather go with that solution with C-cell, which might be less work to maintain in the end, also inside of Firestore, and we don't have to solve these fundamental issues. Or I mean, you can also have both scenarios, but that's something up to discuss. That's why I posted that pull request as a draft first, and I wanted to hear feedback from you, and like how should we move on?
A quick time check here. We have only 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Can we start this meeting again when the time is out?
Yeah, I have time to talk offline, like after the meeting, and or we schedule a new discussion. That's fine.
I mean, can we connect to the Zoom meeting again after the time expires? I mean, this time limitation for the free version of Zoom. Can we start again, connect again to continue the discussion?
I could try that. I don't know how it will behave, but yeah, I could try that. Yes.
Otherwise, I can start a Google Meet.
Yeah,
And then
probably we can do that.
send the link, and
Sure.
then we can join it.
So is my understanding correct? Is that this fundamental limitation of CNS is that we can't we always advance the right point. We can't write before the right point, right? That's the fundamental thing in. So we can't do. We can't retry the right IO. We can't write again the same like block.
Yeah, well, the fundamental issue that is to solve, or I like to think about it in a way like when you come from C++ and go to Rust, you go and program in a different mindset, and I like to apply it also onto ZNS devices. It's like a media that you write sequentially, so you are not allowed to in-place update, because otherwise you have to rewrite the whole block again. So you have to use smaller tricks and avoid overwriting the specific logical block address. So you do other kind of mechanisms to more comply with the media, how it's actually being programmed or written and read in the end. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to have to break in here. So we are this meeting's going to expire in 2 minutes. So so maybe maintainers, you can follow up with Dennis after this, because we also need to thank everybody for joining and to remind people that from now on that the community meetings will be on the last Thursday of the month at this exact same time. And they'll be video recorded. This is our first video recording, and we just kind of wanted to thank everyone for coming along and looking forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
So Dennis, I think the maintainers will follow up with you after this, just so you can have a proper discussion. And and thank you for your comments and thank you for joining.
Thanks everyone. I'm writing Thiago, and then we see where we're ending up. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks.